A 7.3 magnitude quake centered beneath the Pacific seabed killed one person in El Salvador as it rocked a wide portion of Central America on Monday evening. The victim was killed when a utility pole fell on him in San Miguel. The city's mayor tweeted images that showed light damage to the local hospital. About a dozen homes in that community were reported to have collapsed during the shaking. The quake struck off the coast of San Salvador, Honduras, and Nicaragua. According to the U.S. Geological Survey, the agency said the quake hit at a depth of 25 miles at 9:51 p.m. local time. El Salvador's Emergency Services Department initially urged residents along the coast to move inland out of concern that the seabed quake could have generated a tsunami.
One person is dead after a 7.4 magnitude earthquake rocked the coast of El Salvador late Monday. The earthquake was also felt in neighboring Managua, the capital city of Nicaragua, and in Costa Rica. Despite initial tsunami warnings, the threat appears to have passed. No major damage was reported.
Calculations by NASA and the Japan Meteorological Agency revealed that this September was the warmest worldwide since records began back in 1880. The unusual heat also made the last 6 months collectively the warmest such period ever observed. While July came in as the fourth warmest on record, the rest of the month from April through September were the hottest of the climate record. Atmospheric scientists pointed out that the period would have been even hotter had El Niño developed during the Northern Hemisphere summer months, as was predicted earlier this year. The Pacific Ocean warming is still expected to emerge during the next few weeks, but not with the intensity forecasters had earlier expected. Tropical fish species and invertebrates are being driven toward Arctic and Antarctic waters by climate change in a move prompted by a search for cooler, better oxygenated water. University of British Columbia scientists say that changes seen within the last few decades are consistent with predictions that fish would move more than 9 miles poleward each decade as the oceans warmed. The tropics will be the overall losers, said William Cheung, associate professor at the UB Fisheries Center, and co-author of a new study published in the ICES Journal of Marine Science. Lead author Miranda Jones says that the shifting habitats will open up new opportunities for fleets to eventually exploit fisheries in the Arctic. Results of earlier studies at UBC published last year found that fish have been reacting to climate change since 1970. The strongest tropical cyclone in the northern Indian Ocean this year killed at least 84 people and inflicted as much as $11 billion in damage to India's east coast. Cyclone Hudhud intensified to a Category 4 storm just before roaring ashore near the Andhra Pradesh city of Vlutsag on Sunday, packing winds of up to 130 miles per hour. Thousands of homes were reported destroyed, along with vast tracts of bananas, sugarcane, and rice crops. Power remained cut to many of the ravaged city's 2 million residents days after the storm passed. High winds caused extensive damage to the city's airport and to many businesses in the booming industrial community. Apart from loss of property post-Cyclone Hudhud, Vlutsag has also lost its brand image as the only investment destination in Andhra Pradesh, says a report in the Deccan Chronicle. The Times of India reports that the cyclone ravaged the offices of most of the IT firms located at the picturesque Rushkonda IT Park. Several roads and railway lines were destroyed by the storm, which also littered many roadways with downed trees and utility poles. India media report remnants of Hudhud were responsible for a blizzard that killed 24 hikers in the mountains of Nepal. As many as 5 monarch butterflies appear to have been blown across the Atlantic from their summertime breeding grounds in Canada to the far southeastern coast of England this fall. The British group Butterfly Conservation said that while this fall's arrivals were far below the 300 individual monarchs that made a similar journey in 1999, the appearance is significant. But they caution that some of the 5 sightings in early October could have been of the same butterfly. At this time of year, coinciding with the big migration across North America, you have ex-hurricanes and storm fronts sweeping across the North Atlantic, the group's surveys manager Richard Fox told The Guardian. Monarch's arrival has sometimes in the past coincided with the arrival of North American songbirds and dragonflies, Fox added. The monarch's population plunged to 90% below the 20-year average last year, mainly due to a massive loss of milkweed across the American heartland, which is the insect's main food. But sightings during the current migration southward to Mexico seem to indicate the migration flyers are rebounding. Heavy rainfall from passing typhoons this month may be behind a record spike in groundwater radioactivity found in test wells drilled next to Japan's crippled Fukushima nuclear power plant. Samples taken next to 3 reactors that suffered meltdowns following the March 2011 earthquake tsunami disaster showed an almost 4-fold increase in particles such as strontium-90 within a 4-day period. The volume of isotopes such as cobalt-60 and manganese-54 also reached a record high, according to Tokyo Electric Power Company. This coincided with heavy rainfall from remnants of Typhoon Vongfang, which drenched much of Japan during the same period. More powerful Typhoon Fanfun had passed over the Fukushima disaster zone during the previous week. TEPCO said the increase in groundwater from the storms could have mixed with radioactive elements left in the soil after the meltdowns.
Indonesia's Mount Sinabung has spewed volcanic ash reaching 8 kilometers, forcing more residents to flee. Authorities say they predict that the frequency of volcanic tremors will increase. This resident said he felt the ground shake.
When the eruption started, I felt the ground shaking like in an earthquake, accompanied by rumbling sounds like that.
The National Disaster Management Agency says the number of residents who have left their homes stands at more than 6,000. However, no casualties have been reported. The volcano status is on alert level 3, and people are being told not to approach it.
Violent blasts of ash and fountains of lava continue to emerge from western Indonesia's Mount Sinabung Volcano. The volcanic activity was accompanied by eerie clouds that contained violent electrical discharges. Heavy rainfall also threatened to unleash massive flows of accumulated volcanic debris on the slopes of the mountain. Sinabung has forced more than 3,000 people to remain away from their homes for months, although many have braved the eruption to tend to their animals and farmland on the mountain's highly fertile slopes. Sinabung lay dormant for more than 400 years before roaring back to life in 2010. An explosive eruption in February killed at least 16 people. That is Earthweek for this week. Stay tuned next week to find out what else will happen on our amazing planet.